Over the weekend, we all heard of the Supreme Court judgment. That got a lot of people talking and raised a lot of conversations. Beyond that is what followed afterwards. Just if you had listened to the news, the announcement by the state government to embark on new sets of commissioning, and also that broadcast by the governor in his response to the Supreme Court judgment. Well, on the show today, we would take a look at all of that. We would, most importantly, look at how the government is handling development in the state with the projects that it will be commissioning in the course of the week, as well as how it seeks to further go on with development in the state in the coming days, especially with what the Supreme Court had just given us its judgment with regards to the allocations. Well, to help us with this conversation in the studio this morning is the Commissioner for Information, Mr. Joe Johnson. Sir, you're welcome and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Andrew, and good morning to Rivers people.
All right, so I think we'll start with saying Happy New Week. And yeah, it's a great one when I got the statement with the commencement of another round of project commissioning. And for many people, quite exciting, but the people were like, okay, we just had this judgment that felt like everything was shaky and there was a lot of reaction everywhere. And well, the governor simply says he's embarking on this. So how are these things lined up and what are we expecting?
Well, today, the 3rd of March, we'll be commissioning the government house staff quarters. It's a modern, well-equipped staff quarters for government house personnel, providing a comfortable and conducive living environment. Tomorrow, we'll be dealing with the State Fire Service headquarters and then firefighting vehicles. We're starting with the one by the Maiwa flyover. It is to strengthen fire emergency response capacity with a new headquarters and the state-of-the-art fighting vehicles. On Wednesday, we'll be handing over a helicopter to the Nigerian Air Force, and is a strategic boost to national security operations, enhancing aerial surveillance and emergency response capacities. On Thursday, we'll be handing over another fire service, the one at Borokiri, and is to expand fire safety coverage with a well-equipped fire station. And you recall that in the recent past, we have had several cases of fire incidents, and we want to believe strongly that this will help to save the lives of Rivers people. Our fire service had been moribund. I recall that in the last regime, we never saw anything happening around that axis. But this government came and took it up, and we're ensuring that at least the 3 strategic locations that will have these fire stations, one in Rumo Domaya, one in town, and then one in the Maiwa flyover, which will actually oversee what's going to be happening around the Diob axis. The Rumo Domaya will take care of the other axis, and then you can see the spread. It is intended to strengthen our fire service.
Okay.
Then on Monday next week, we'll be doing the construction and furnishing of the palace and residence of Akbo Monarch. It's already been constructed. We'll be furnishing and commissioning it for proper use. It's a befitting palace for the traditional ruler of Akbo Kingdom to preserve our cultural heritage and foster community leadership. On Tuesday, we're commissioning the judges' quarters.
That's Tuesday next week.
Tuesday next week. We're commissioning the judges' quarters. It's a comfortable residential quarters for judges, ensuring that judicial officers have an enabling environment to dispense justice. On Wednesday next week, one of the very general hospitals that we built, which is the Bori General Hospital, will be commissioned. It's a major healthcare facility to improve medical services and healthcare access in Kana and neighboring communities. That, I believe, will serve the enter Rivers Southeast Senatorial Zone. This hospital had been out of use, but this government, as part of our mantra to ensure that we have enough food in the areas of agriculture, we have enough education in trying to ensure that we put our schools to proper use. As I said, we have 135 healthcare centers we are rehabilitating. 135 courses across 23 LGAs. It tells you the volume of decay in the health sector. But this government has decided to also build a general hospital that will take off pressure of patients who will be running to the university teaching hospitals. At least antenatal cases can be handled at the health centers. And then the serious matters can go for referral at the intermediary, which is intermediate hospitals, what you call the general hospital. Then up there will be the teaching hospital. So we're trying to see how we can put 5 to use. But in the meantime, we're starting with the Bori General Hospital, which will be commissioned. And then we'll also do, we should also commission Okrika Grammar School, one of the foremost secondary schools that I'm sure people like Alabo Gabriel Toby, who was former deputy governor, these are part of the products of that school. And quite a number of other prominent Rivers people, some late, some still living. And then we have a law school in Bayelsa, which we built, Rivers State government built. We are furnishing it and equipping it and putting electricity, at least to ensure a conducive learning environment with modern amenities, infrastructure, and stable power supply for law students. That's what we are doing in the next 2 weeks, beginning from today and ending next week Friday. That's the 2 weeks on the run.
That sounds like a lot, and for many people, well, I'm sure there are those that will be saying, well, it's a step in the right direction, commending the government. However, there are those that would also ask questions of how the government would seek to, like you said, there are many other projects that would require funding. And with what has happened with the Supreme Court and the allocation situation, what are the plans that the government have on ground to continue with delivering the dividends of democracy to Rivers people and executing most of these projects?
Well, it's a big pushback, but I will say that God is the one who can see the future. And not... I don't have the clairvoyance to know what tomorrow would bring, but I know that we have a governor who has a lot of magic wand. I call him somebody that is a blueprint of what Nigeria should really look for as a government. Perhaps in the days to come, like in his broadcast, he said that by Friday this week, we will see the certified true copy of the judgment. We'll look at it, evaluate it, and see how to move on. But like I said, it's a difficult challenge.
Is there any date yet for the local government elections, or that would also have to wait until after Friday?
No dates as it were now. He had just announced that the heads of local government should take over. And it's a process. Electioneering is a process, and I'm sure that he has directed the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct a fresh election. There are processes. And once we're able to get our optics right, then I'm sure the elections will hold.
Because there are those that are arguing that, the outgone council chairman should return and still continue as council chairman, citing the amendments that were made by the Assembly.
Which outgone? That gun that just
what's
was
the response to
that gun?
it?
You mean, if I understand English, the outgone?
Not the immediate outgone. The outgone before the immediate outgone.
There were caretakers that we had before the immediate outgone.
Before the caretakers.
Before the caretakers, the tenure had elapsed. They contested it in the court and lost. There was the judgment of the court that said you cannot extend. And of course, if you extend, you cannot. No law is made in retrospect. I don't want to even bother with it. They already know. So if they are, it is a smoke screen to even assume that you can come back. Come back on what basis? What would be the basis? You have a 6-year, a 3-year, then got another 3-year. You had a 6-year on the stretch. And then you think that anybody would just sit back and say, my tenure had been extended. You can only extend the regime of a government in the case of war, and in this case, not any.
Okay. All right, we'll take a short commercial. When we come back, we'll get your view and perspective to the Supreme Court judgment and whether we have any more cases in court that we should be looking forward to after the break.
Okay.
Past 8, the conversation continues here on Nigeria Info. I still have in the studio with me the Honorable Commissioner for Information, Mr. Joe Johnson. Before the commercial, he had told us about the commissioning activities, the projects all lined up for the next 10 days, a stretch of 2 weeks. The government will be engaging in commissioning of different projects. But I think amongst the list that he rolled out, one that really caught my attention was the attention to the fire service and the fact that we're going to have, 2-3 more stations strategic parts of the state. I think it's a great idea because we've had a lot of experiences with fire in the past couple of months. But beyond that, also is his explanation to some of the reactions that have come following the Supreme Court judgment, and how many have said, well, the council chairmen who were there before the caretaker took over should continue, that their tenures were elongated because of the amendments that were made by Martin Amaewhule at the time. Well, those amendments should be implemented now following the Supreme Court judgment. And we also heard his response to that. There are many more questions I'll be asking him, and then we'll open the phone lines to give you the opportunity to also ask your questions. We'll take as much as we can on Facebook and WhatsApp as well. Don't forget to also join us on X at Nigeria Info 92.3 BH, on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, on YouTube, the same thing, Nigeria Info PH. You can also send us WhatsApp messages 0809 030 6416. Now, quickly, Honorable Commissioner, let's start with the judgment itself. There are many people who have raised different questions and opinions about the judgment. Like you said, the true copy of it hasn't come, but some have questioned a part of it that was about the cancellation of the elections for the local government council. In general, what's your view? The governor has said he doesn't like it, but then he has to implement it regardless, even though he doesn't accept it.
I'm sure that 95% of Rivers people do not like that judgment. But what can we do? It is the judgment of the Supreme Court. Now, the kernel of our contention had been the issue of defection. The Supreme Court didn't do anything on that defection because it has not reached the Supreme Court. And as you know, the court will not give you what you did not ask for. On the 4 cases that were consolidated, none talked about defection. The matter of defection is before Justice Obile of the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt. That matter was to have been heard sometime last month, but the court took an adjournment. That matter will progress to Court of Appeal and then to the Supreme Court until we determine the legality of Martin Amaewhule and his colleagues. Until the court determines that legality, it will be difficult to truly assume. But don't forget, when I did a press release, it was obvious that what the Supreme Court dealt with was a matter before Justice Omotosho. Before Justice Omotosho, they didn't tell the court that they had defected. They didn't. They filed this matter on 29th, and as of 29th of November 2023, when they filed that matter, they were still members of PDP. On the 11th of December, they defected, and by Section 1091G, the position is clear on what our Constitution says. So, when they ran to Justice Omotosho and got the judgment, on the strength of which we withdrew by the directive of Mr. President to say, look, withdraw all processes in the court. The President directed, the governor came back, we obeyed, withdrew. Even when we would have filed our own reliefs, there were certain prayers we had. First of all, we contested jurisdiction. There were quite a number of issues we raised, but we withdrew all that. And that judgment was a one-way judgment without recourse to our own. And the law has a tripodal stand on issues. So to think that one person will go to court, file a case, get judgment without the principle of fair hearing on the other part, we faulted it. But when we went on appeal before the Court of Appeal said, in the eyes of the law, they didn't see us, and therefore what you didn't appear before, you cannot come here to argue it. That's law. And then we went up to Supreme Court. If that was the pronouncement that they are rejoicing, the matter of defection, which a state high court had dealt with, we got to Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal said state high courts do not have jurisdiction. Go to federal high court. That was on the strength of which Right Honorable Victor Kojombo and the other members of the assembly headed to federal high court. That matter is before the Justice Obile of the Federal High Court. So I don't see why we are having this Pyrrhic victory And some, insinuating.
In other words, you say
things,
there's still cases in court that we have to look for.
There are. That's the main kernel. That's the main case that is on.
But the question now for many people would be the slow pace in which that particular matter is being handled.
That's what the will of justice is like. It's usually grinds slowly, but justice will be done. Don't forget that what they are rejoicing was a judgment, a matter that went to court in 2023. This is 2025. I pray that we'll have an accelerated hearing, because that's what is going to set the agenda.
Like what you've raised, if this is the case and this particular matter on the defection stays in court until God knows how long, what then happens in that space? Because it will simply mean that whatever is what has been said by the Supreme Court is what would be law, and that's what the government would have to abide with, regardless of the fact that you have another matter in court.
Let's see the judgment. Let's see the certified true copy of the judgment and evaluate it. I'm sure that there will be a way. The law will not bind you. You can't be. The law it will not. The law is friendly. So let's wait and see. There may be opportunities that will be thrown open by that judgment. So if you see the certified true copy, then we'll be able to take it from there.
All right. What would you then say to Rivers people? Because a lot of people now are worried that, how's the government going to handle worker salary? How is the government going to handle, we've already talked about the projects and so on and so forth, especially with the withholding of allocations. How is that going to work?
Well, the governor is the chief administrator of the state. And I'm sure that he will be able to think of how we can navigate through this challenge. God does not bring anybody out of trouble. God takes you through trouble. Otherwise, the children of Israel would have been given helicopters to fly them from Egypt. But God put them through the stress they went through. And for 400 years, they were on the road. Is it 400 or 40 years? 40 years. They were in the wilderness. They passed through it until they got to the promised land.
Let's open the phone lines and take reactions from some of the listeners and those who are also watching on Facebook as well. On Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, that's the handle. So let's know what your thoughts are. This one says, when you say they defected, where is the evidence? This is Chimenem Igwe. Courage wants to says the commissioner should rest. I know that you are smart. Former local government chairman still remain former. Instead, the sacked local government chairman in 2015 will come on board to pilot affairs of local government because tenure of Samuel Wanosika and his colleagues has elapsed. Blessed Ola. Johnson, this one is from, Kingsley. Wanyawo Kingsley says, the commissioner has come out to mislead the supporters with wrong information. All right, so keep the messages coming in. We'll take as much as we can. The numbers to call are 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0002. All right, so when you call in, please straight to the point with the question. If you have a question to ask, go straight to the point and ask your question, and my guest will definitely respond. 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0002. And I think another very pertinent question many would be waiting is whether now the state government would have to work with the Martin Amenwole Assembly.
I've said that let us wait till Friday. Our team of lawyers have promised that the governor will get a certified true copy of the judgment. When we get it, we will evaluate it, and then we'll chart the way forward. All right.
0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0002. All right, this one on WhatsApp now. We'll take some of your comments here. This person says, please ask your guest, why did the Federal High Court defer the case to April pending Supreme Court judgment? The Supreme Court has ended all cases in the courts. Remember, the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt deferred the case on defection because they didn't want to adjudicate on the case before the Supreme Court. So people should stop deceiving themselves. As long as the Supreme Court is concerned, political crisis regarding legitimacy of assembly matters has ended. Christian from Port Harcourt. Is this the case?
There was no case of defection before the Supreme Court.
Which of the certified true copies of what? Did you not have a legal representative there? Well, at forum, unfortunately, I don't think I'll take this because the truth is you ask certified copies of every judgment comes out. You should know that if you follow the activities of the court. They always have that come out, whether you're in court or not. Ida from Ikoro says, I want to thank the governor for obeying the Supreme Court judgment and asking local government chairmen to hand over to head of councils and the commissioning that will be kicking off today. The governor has been chosen and would lead the Rivers people to the promised land. On Facebook, Golden says the governor's directive is supreme in Rivers State. The state is waiting for the true certified copy of the judgment. Anthony says the matter of defection has been settled by the Supreme Court. Reason why the Federal High Court adjourned. Okay, when did the Supreme Court talk on the matter of defection? All right. This one says, Andrew, top of the morning, the step taken by the governor directing council chairman to hand over council properties to head of councils is in order. As thank God ability. Another message here says, since the Supreme Court has recognized Meule House of Assembly, I don't think any reasonable court would make any contrary pronouncement on the matter. When Uzodinma became governor in Imo State in his first tenure, almost all members of Imo Assembly defected to APC but served out their tenure. They did not lose their seats automatically. Vain. Okay, well, let's allow it go through the courts, and at the end of the day, we'll find out. I want to ask, in all your guests, students' welfareism is nowhere mentioned. Though I heard NAN's leader in the state, Martins Azirindu Okpara, on the news this morning, calling on the governor to come back to his earlier promise of bursary payment. What is happening with that? Forum from HA is asking that question. Extension clause in local government area amendment law number 5 by Amewole has been quashed by High Court. The governor did absolutely the right thing. Well done, Commissioner. And before Ernest send that one across, let's go to the phone lines now. We'll start with Litambari. Please keep it very short. Just ask your question and move on so we can take as much as possible. Litambari, good morning.
Good morning, Ikemi.
All right, very short. Straight to your question, please.
Yeah. Before I go on the Supreme Court issue, well, let me first of all commend the governor for no project that is about to commission all over the state. I think he has done well. One major thing that makes me, have concern for the governor is because he has ruled for those years and he has not borrowed money, despite the challenges. But I want to rely on what the governor said about the Supreme Court judgments. I think waiting till Friday before you decide what to do on the Supreme Court judgment, I think that will bring another round of misunderstanding. Because the Supreme Court has reinstated Martins Amewole to be the speaker, and the Rivers State House of Assembly will also comment their own way of, their plenary. And so when this thing does not tally with what the House of Assembly is doing, how do you think they can be able to take your weight until Friday? So I want to ask him not to bring any issue that will bring anarchy or misunderstanding again. With all these things we have gone through, he should respect the law as he has said, so that peace will reign in Rivers State. Thank you and good morning.
Akanto from Bori, good morning.
Yes, Andrew, good morning, my friend. How are you doing this new week?
Very fine, thank you. Go on, please.
My Honorable Commissioner Information, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah, I want to commend His Excellency. Particularly, I am from Zakon, Tana local government area. That edifice at the zonal hospital comprises of all 7 local government that is started in Bori. That will be one of the projects that the governor will be commissioning this week. I want to commend the governor for giving us the Bori people, the Kana people, the Ogoni people, that magnificent hospital, state of the art facility. Congratulations, Excellency. Andrew, my take is very simple. The River State people should be Melekwe. Let them Melembe. The governor of River State have directed the head of local government to take over the affairs of his government. That is to say, the government is man who will respect the rule of law and respect the decision of Supreme Court, even though 90% of what is scripted to us is not what the people of River State are expecting. Andrew, let me say it. People are infiltrated into the judiciary. People have infiltrated into the judiciary. But however, the government has said, let us wait till Friday. By the government of River State will study the verdict of the court.
All right, Akanto, thank you very much. Let's go to Yenegua now. Unfortunately, we don't have all the time, Akanto. Let's go to Gift in Yenegua. Quickly, Gift, your question.
Morning, Andrew, and good morning to the Commissioner for Information, Joe Johnson.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you, sir. There is something I want to take our minds back. The Commissioner was on air, if not last week or 2 weeks back. He tried to clear the air concerning that stroking out of case and dismissal. Today, the position that Gift held is what Supreme Court has finally affirmed. When we told them that dismissal is not about a matter that is spent, that it has life and blood in it, and today, that is what Supreme Court has said. Another one again, when they misinform the public that it is automatic, Supreme Court have told you clearly that defection, it is not automatic. And aside from that, there was no defection in the first place, because that is what Chike Martins Amewule have stated clearly. Even Sashifton Okosha, the APC authentic chairman of Rivers State, said there is no record showing that. So with all these things, I will not agree with the Commissioner for Information, because Supreme Court have held the position that this is talking about from day one. And I want to put it to them that as far as I'm concerned, what he did with head of local governments, I'm telling you, the Constitution does not recognize it, and the law of Rivers State, that's what people are talking about, whether high court or low court. Supreme Court said it is the House of Assembly that has the power to bring in those persons who are serving, and he did extension of those persons for 6
All right, Gift. Thank you very much. Saying the Constitution doesn't recognize the head of councils taking over operations. You want to respond to some of the questions?
He doesn't understand the dynamics of what happens in the civil service. I'm a commissioner. If I'm no longer commissioner, if anything happens and I'm removed, the next in the hierarchy is the permanent secretary. Simplicity. So he does not understand.
All right. God's Power in Rumudara. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
All right. Good morning to you. Go on.
My name is Ayeba God's Power. Andrew, first I want to correct an impression made by the Honorable Commission this morning that 95% of Rivers who are not happy with the judgment. It's a lie. Yeah, I'm happy with the judgment.
You're 5% now. You're part of the 5%.
Then, Andrew, I have a question for the Commissioner this morning. If the issue of the Assembly members were not before the court, why then did the appeal Supreme Court say that the governor should pay 5 million to Martins Amewule? Andrew, you know, light has expiring date, and deceit has expiring date. How long will they continue to deceive their gullible supporters? Andrew, let me tell you, the Supreme Court recognizing Martins Amewule and the 26 others simply gives power and effect to all the laws that have been made by Martins Amewule. Andrew, what is the law today in Rivers State? The Constitution empowers the State Assembly to enact laws for the functioning of the local government councils. Andrew, there's a law as of today until it is appealed that when an election cannot be conducted in the local government, that the elected ones can be extended by 6 months. It is the law as of today in Rivers State. Until that law is appealed, it stands law. The Honorable Commissioner should not wait till Friday. The governor has said that he will, abide by the judgment of the Supreme Court, even though he's not happy with it. If you are abiding by the judgment of the Supreme Court, that means you recognize Martins as the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Which matter is provided Supreme Court has dealt on this matter, there is no court that will hear this matter again. They
All right.
did that initially just to buy time. But by the grace of God, the Rivers State must move forward. Thank you, about God's power.
All right, God's Power. Thank you very much. Let's see if we can take some more while we hold on to... All right, on Facebook, Kinsley says it was the State High Court and appeal set aside the State High Court judgment. I don't understand what that is. This one says, I know the Supreme Court will rule in favor of 27 pro-Wike lawmakers so that the governor will represent the 2025 budget to them. The filed suit on defection against the lawmakers is yet to be determined by the Supreme Court, which I know Wike will bury that case as usual by striking it out because he owns the judicial system I've always said that judiciary and politicians are the bane of Nigeria's democracy. Well, I don't know about Wike owning the judiciary, so we can't say that. We know that the judiciary is an arm of government on its own. Kenny Siraka says, thank you to the commissioner. He's a brilliant leader and a man of humility. You should work with him with all the experience you have. River State will be greater. Thank you. That's what Kenny Siraka sent in that message. All right, Honorable Commissioner, what's your response to some of the callers and what they've said, especially with judgment?
I have no intention to mislead Rivers people. I merely had on oath to ensure that the proper information is disseminated to Rivers people. When the learned justices sat in the Supreme Court on the matters before them, there was nothing on the table that relates to defection. I've said it severally. That matter is before Justice Obile of the Federal High Court, which is the court that the Court of Appeal said had jurisdiction to deal with the matter. Until that matter travels up to the Supreme Court, the legitimacy of the Martin Amehula and his group will be decided. And if that is done, of course, just like we're prepared to respect the judgment of the Supreme Court, we'll also obey. And I'm sure that it will end in praise.
Okay. Got Bufasa. Okay, let's hear Bufasa first from NTA Road. Good morning. Hello, Mufasa.
Yeah, hi, Andrew. Good morning.
Yes, go on.
And good morning to the Honorable Commissioner in the studio.
Good morning.
Quick one. Let me say that it is really quite commendable, the dedication and commitment of our governor, because I'm sure if you want to look at things critically, if you were to be some other states, everywhere would be put on hold and, governance would have been suspended. But he has thought it expedient to continue to dispense quality leadership to Rivers people. That is why he's still embarking on commissioning. That goes to show that the governor is still in charge. I also want to say that, you see, the commissioner in the studio has actually come to clarify a lot of things. He's not deceiving anybody, as he has rightly said. This is not a beer parlor or marketplace where people just come and fly with any kind of, emotions that they have. The Supreme Court, and no court for that matter, has said anything about defection. And that is the gospel truth. That is why the matter is currently in the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. So for me, I like the stance that the government is taking. There's no need for confusion. There's no need for chaos. There's no need for crisis. Why is expected to get the certified true copy? Everything and every place should be calm. So for me, the government should continue in a calm disposition. Everybody will not allow the state to burn down. And for the ratio, the statistics of the truth, I tell you, it's not even 95%. I'm telling you, 97% of Rivers people are with the governor. And that is the truth. Go to the street, Andrew, and feel the pulse of the people. That's my position this morning.
All right. Thank you very much. On X, Justice Ori says, please ask your guests, will heads of local government be in charge till another election? I was thinking caretakers will be created. Please let your guests clear the air on this. Justice Ori from Omudioga. And then at Abel Liberty says compliance with Supreme Court judgment so that when the other judgment will come, the people affected will comply too. Okay, he's saying comply with Supreme Court judgment so that when another judgment comes, those people who are saying government should comply would have to comply with that one as well. The first person's question about he thought caretaker. I think the Supreme Court has dealt with the caretaker council chairman. We can't have those. Hence the reason why you have the head of the councils taking over the activities and affairs of the council in the meantime until an election would be conducted, which then brings us to how soon are we expecting these elections to happen?
We don't know. The RISEC will follow all the processes and they'll announce their timetable. Whatever it is something that is doable.
All right. I think that's the much we can take on the show this morning. All the best with the commissionings and all that is ongoing. Meanwhile, okay, just before you go, if we can throw in this one. From the commissioning, we've not heard too much from the agriculture sector. We know that a committee was set up to look into the various farms. How far have they gone with their work, and what should Rivers people be expecting from that area?
They've done so much. The committee has done exceedingly well, and I want to believe that in my next appearance, I'll be able to give you a counterpoint of where we are in all areas in the agri sector.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Joe Johnson, for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Ifeami Andrew. Stay with us. Hello, Port Harcourt will come in next with Jude. Don't forget, the I Beg to Differ debate continues. So you can stay tuned for a debate of a lifetime. Good morning.